Welcome to the Father Knowts podcast, and I am your host, Warren W. Patten Jr., or you can call me Father Patten. Father Knowts is an informational style podcast created to give fathers a voice in their family structure. I encourage fathers to take back fatherhood and shake the trees of tradition to create a stronger family unit. We'll also delve into men's health, leadership, mentorship, and so much more. Okay, men, it's time to be a better father on purpose. Hello again, and welcome to the Father Knowts podcast. Father Patten here once again. Do you know this is episode 10? Episode 10 in this world for Father Knowts podcast. I am elated again, and I am really beside myself on how this has evolved. And I don't even know how many viewers I have. I'm not even concerned at this point. Now, one day, yes, I may be concerned about that, but I'm just excited that I get an opportunity to share my vision, share my perspective on how to be a better father on purpose. But just like in the intro, I'm going to talk more about more things than just being a better father. I'm going to talk about mentorship. I'm going to talk about leadership, self-help, all of those things that I think I can really influence anyone on being better on purpose. So this episode starts that. This message is just not for fathers. It is for fathers, but it's also out there for anyone who could use this message to be better, to feel better, to really impact their mental health, to really impact the people around them. So this is episode 10, and this episode is all about being precautious. Be precautious. Live with intent. Hey, it seems like that's what we do anyway, but many times I think we are going through the motions as humans. We're not paying attention to everything that's happening. And in that moment, we can make some different choices that affect our past, present, and future. Be precautious. Live with intent. And I'm going to tell you my spin on being precautious. And sometimes it seems like I'm saying be afraid. No, no, no. Sometimes we are afraid, but I'm also saying be brave. Have courage to make decisions and choices that will help you in the present, and the present turns into the past. And when you make those decisions, they actually may be helpful to you in your future. Yes, in your future. So let me get right to it. Remember, episode 10, Father Knowts podcast, be precautious, live with intent. This message is for anyone who could use it to be better, to be a better person. So here we go. I want to first of all give you the definition of precautious because you have to really understand it. And the definition is precautious is an adjective that means being careful, but by actively preparing to avoid something negative. It can refer to a person or an action. I had to slow that down because there are some actions that can be very negative. And there are people, I'm sad to say, that can be negative. You have to be aware of both because there are some negative actions and it doesn't take a person to do it. Some accidents happen and they can be negative. Also, there are some people in your life that only mean you harm. So you have to be able to weed those people out of your life if they don't have your best interest at heart. Oh, I know it's tough. And it could be, slow it down. It could be members of your family. It could be. That doesn't mean you should cast them out. You have to be precautious, be careful when you're around them. And in some cases, you might have to let them know, I'm sorry, I can't come visit you today. You don't have to be mean. Don't match negative energy with negative energy. Stay positive, but be precautious. Now, I'm going to break it to you like this. When I say live with intent, be here now as much as you can. So I'm going to start with the past. Now, the past can be painful. That don't mean it is painful, but it can be. Many times, that's all we think about when it comes to the past. We think about what went wrong, who did us wrong. Remember, I said the past can be painful. You can't continue to live in the past. Sometimes people do. They pick a year, and that's where they stay. Mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically. But if you live with intent, you can get out of that negative year. My advice is to reflect on the past, yet you have to find the positives. Find the positives that came from that negative experience. I'm going to give you a little example later, but let's keep going. That was the past. Now let's talk about the present. The present is precautious because it's happening right now. And you have to be brave and aware right now. Live with intent right now. You must be brave enough to make sound decisions. You have to have some logic. You have to think about the environment, the situation around you, and you have to put yourself first. Many times we're thinking about everyone else around us. There's nothing wrong with that. I believe you should put yourself first when you're thinking about the decisions that you have to make. Too many times we make decisions based on what our peers think about us. You have to be a leader for yourself. You can't always be a follower, especially in the present, because that's what you have control of right now. The present is what's happening right now. And you have the control. You have to take control and be very intentional. Now let's talk about the future. Oh boy, the future. The future is really free because we don't know what's going to happen. Yet you can set the course for your future in the present. You can set the course for your future in the present. Sounds weird, sounds undoable. But everything we do in the present, right now, affects your future. And I believe you really have to think about it just like that, whether those decisions are good or not so good. You have to learn to live with them. But if you're aware of what you're doing in the present, your future will be better because you understand why you did what you did. And sometimes when you do bad things, I'll say that, you know, there are consequences, but those are also situations that you can learn from. You got to know how many times will you bump your head before you realize, "Ooh, that hurt. I'm not going to do that again." So you really have to live with intent in the present, and that really influences your future. Now, let's start again with the past. At some point, the past was the present. I have to go slow because I know I'm throwing you for a loop. Real world. At some point, the past was the present. It was happening then. So the decisions you made later on are the decisions you made in the past. But you have to really be intentional about what you do. I'll explain more. I'll unwrap this as I go. So the choices you made affected the present at that time and influenced the future. When you sit back and reflect on it, some of the decisions you made in the past, but they were really your present, affected your future. hmm that's really the evolution of life. The past, the present, the future. It all works together if you're really paying attention. If you're really paying attention. Now I know I sound just a little bit crazy and warped, and that's okay. It just takes a little bit of thinking about it to really understand how the three connect. And it's your charge to really make those connections. That's right. Connect the dots of your life. Put two and two together in your life. Make it make sense to you on your future based off of the present and your past. Now, I believe the past is rich with key learnings for your present time, right now, and your future. Let me explain. Let me let me tell you a little story. It's story time. Let me tell you a little story about when I reflect on my past. We're going to go back to a time when I was in college and I was a scholarship athlete. I played basketball, was very good. I was a starting point guard. I was heading into my senior year, and I knew going into my senior year, I did not have all of the hours that I needed to graduate. But I was just going to go to summer school after my senior year. I had already tallied up the hours that I needed. I just needed to find a job so I can come up with the money. But I didn't really worry about it because I had always worked during the summertime. I'd always found a very good job. So that part I did not worry about. I did worry about room and board because the scholarship covered that. But let's just get into it because I'm living in the moment at that time. That is the present when it was happening. So the basketball season starts. I'm really concentrating on my grades, trying to make sure I maintain where I am. But this is the year I'm a senior and I'm ready to be the scoring guard. I have worked on my craft. I was going to average more points than I did the year before when I was the point guard. And I think the coaches were confident that I was going to take this team to the next level. Yes, I was. And I was excited about that. I had turned into a shooting guard. Yes. So the year starts, and we're playing our first few games, and we lost the first game, but we won, I believe, our next 4 games. No, 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 our next 3 games. Then in the fifth game of the season, now fifth game, I'm the starting point. I'm the starting shooting guard. At right before halftime, my knee pops. I'm standing on defense. I'm barely running. I'm standing waiting on the player to come to me. And I've been down in my classic defensive position, and I hear a pop. And I don't know what it was, and it didn't hurt, but I could feel it. And I started to, play defense, and I realized I could not move I think it was my left leg. And I had broken my kneecap. I called timeout. Of course, my coach is like, "Oh, why are you calling timeout?" I had to come out of the game. I wanted someone to look at my knee so that I can get back out there. I did not know that I had broken my kneecap, my patella kneecap. And I'm thinking this is an easy fix, but it is not. My kneecap was broken in 3 different pieces. I could not play. Now, at that point, my career is over. That's what I'm thinking. All of the negative things come into your mind when you hit a little bit of adversity. And I thought it was over. I was even thinking they were going to kick me off the team and I was going to lose my scholarship. All of the worst things came in my mind. And understand now, I'm in the present at that time. And all of my decisions are going to affect my future. Are you with me? Are you with me? The decisions I made back then which is now my past, were the present. And those decisions would influence and impact my future. I had to be aware of that. Now, at the time, I was not aware as I am now. But back then, I knew that I had to make some tough choices. And I think I really made an impact on the people in my life while I was in college. I'll tell you more about that because those things worked for me, worked in my favor because I even did not understand, but I was living with intent even then. Yes, I was. Because I really wanted to be the best person, the best basketball player, the best student that I could possibly be. So I went to the hospital. They let me know that my kneecap was broken. But the great part about it, they said they will not have to go in and do surgery. My patella was cracked into 3 separate parts, but it stayed connected in a full circle. So, it was all they said that I have to do is put on a cast and straighten my leg out and let it heal naturally. And it was really fractured, but it was 3 different cracks that separated it into thirds. So I was like, okay, cool. Maybe my rehab will be better because they did not have to operate on me. But I was in that cast for I think more than 8 weeks. Now, think about it. I'm the starting point guard, and it's the 5th game of the season, my senior year, my last year, and I am in a cast for 8 weeks, starting the season. I asked several questions about rehab, but they were not reassured that I would come back and play before the season was over. And I was like, wow, is my career over? Enter in being precautious and living with intent. At that point in my cast, which was from my groin to my ankle, I still had to be a better student. I had to be a great cheerleader for my teammates, of course. And then I had to continue to do some of the things that I was already doing. But I really had to really make some decisions about what's going to happen to me at the end of this season, at the end of this year. I was blessed because with my work in the community in that city, with the things that I did around the campus as a basketball player and as a student now, as a student, they granted me an extra scholarship, a half a semester. I mean, a half of a year of scholarship. That was a blessing. That was a blessing. And that would give me the opportunity to rehab, have an opportunity to come back and play basketball. And also, the big win, my studies. I could get those extra credits so that I could actually graduate. You talking about a blessing? Being precautious and living with intent. I was trying to do all of the things I could to be involved in my college education and career. Now, let me tell you some of the things that I did that I think worked in my favor. I was very helpful with my teammates, as far as being a cheerleader. Like I said, I wasn't down in the dumps very long. I was for a while, but I cheered my teammates on, even though I could not be out there on the court with them. I was also still lead singer for my little pop music band called Sparkle. And I performed with my cast. I sure did. I still was very active in doing what I needed to do. And one of those things was playing on campus with my pop band. I worked on my music in the dorm that I lived in. I played the piano during the evening time, and it was a little bit of entertainment because that's where I practiced on my piano, my musicianship, and singing some of the top songs in the 80s. So I was pretty good. Me and Lionel Richie, oh yeah, I could do everything Lionel Richie. I was very popular on campus for that. And I also, during that time that when I got out of my cast, I coached a little league team in a nearby city, and we won a championship. I'm also a coach. And that was awesome. My rehab took place at a local college, and it was called Millikan College. And I would go there and play with their team to strengthen my leg and get myself back into playing shape. And I was a scorer, I must tell you. I could score the ball, but I had to be very careful with my knee. So all of those things were happening, and I was being very intentional, but I was getting my grades as well. I was making sure that I was going to be able to graduate. Now, when the next season came up, I was not going to play. I was heartbroken once again. My coaches let me know that your spot is now being taken by another guard because they're going to be here to help us. But we need your influence in practice because we know how relentless you are about being on the court and just playing at a high level. So that's what they needed from me. And that's what they explained to me. In practice, we need you to bring it to make the players that we got coming up better. That was my new charge. Now, my broken kneecap to me was a negative thing that happened when it was happening in the present, remember? But some of the things that I did, the choices that I made, the decisions that I made affected my future. Mhm. They affected my future. I was able to graduate with a speech communications degree and a theater minor. I continued to practice my musicianship. And why is that important? Because even now, many, and I do mean many, Many years later, my career has been successful because of my speech communications degree. Most of the work that I've done since college has had everything to do with my success as an orator, as a trainer, as a consultant, even as a teacher in school. Yes, I taught school for a while. Uh, And also, during all of that time, I've always worked on my music. I released a CD back in the 90s, well, 80s and 90s, and then in the 2000s. Same CD, I just kept evolving it. But in the last 6 months, 6 to 7 months, I've released singles, four singles, some R&B and some associated with the children's books that I have written. So my degree has really allowed me to do so many wonderful things. And that was in the past. And because it used to be my present, whatever happened during that time impacted and influenced my future. And here I am. As a professional, my speech communications has always been the key to my success. And that speech communications came from my college, Eastern Illinois University. I owe it all to then, and that is my past, but I hold on to it because it has definitely made a life for me and my family. And that's why I make the connection of the past being really the present, which influences your future. Be precautious and live with intent. It all connects and comes back around full circle. Full circle. So your future is in your hands and in your mind. Your future is in your hand and in your mind. Now, as I was developing this podcast, this is what I came up with. And I got to read it to you because I want you to really understand it. It may not make sense when you hear it, but after you think about it, it makes sense. You must imagine the future in the past through your present eyes. I'm going to say it again. I like that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm going to say it again. You must imagine the future in the past through your present eyes. I know you get it. It's going to take a while to sink in and to just marinate on it. Just brew on that just a little bit. Percolate. Yes. Marinate on that a little bit. Let that simmer in your mind and in your soul, because that's a good one. I'm gonna have to capture that one. When I wrote that, I put a date on that one because that is really awesome. If I must pat myself on the back. Okay. You really have the total control and influence in your decisions and your choices. Let me tell you though, it takes discipline to learn how to avoid negative things. Oh my goodness. They keep coming. They keep coming. And you got to fight them off. You got to be ready, brave, and prepared to knock the negativity out. I'm going to tell you, it's hard work being positive. It's easy. And you can be as lazy as you want with the negativity. But when you want to be positive, it takes a little bit of work. Oh, yeah. Live with positive intent and surround yourself with positive people as much as you can. And if there are negative people around you, you limit your time with them. And I do believe if you are positive enough, you will attract more positive people and transform some of those negative people into being positive. Now, I love it when that happens. I love it because sometimes I have to tell my friend, "Okay, hey, what's the positive way to put that?" "Oh, Warren." I said, "Yes, I know. Oh, Warren." Uh-huh. What's a positive way to look at it now? Even though it happened and you're not happy, what's the positive part about that situation? Just like I told you with my story. What was the positive part about breaking my kneecap? That seems to be a negative situation, but I turned it into a positive situation. Mhm. It can be done. And I hope that you really listen to this podcast episode a couple of times so you can really let it sink in. Because it's not as easy as how I put it. It is tough, but this is how I've been really looking at things. Now, I don't necessarily live in the past, but I really reflect and take account of all of the things that I did and how they affect me now. Am I using my musicianship after all of these years? Yes. All of that practice in the Stevenson Tower is paying off right now. I'm still able to write and sing music and release it during this time. Oh, I'm not a superstar. No, I'm not. But my creations, my creativity are out there for all to hear. And there are some people who can dig on my music. One of these days, I'm going to look it up and see who's listening, who's streaming, who's downloading. One of these days, but that's not my top priority. My creations, my music has been released, and people get an opportunity to listen to what I created from years ago to today. Oh, in the past and the present, and they're going to be out there in the future. Awesome, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And I got more music to release. That's what's crazy. Then, one more thing. This podcast, a few years ago, with my talent, an owner operator asked me to participate in a podcast with her. She was the host, and I was her right hand person. And we did a few podcast episodes where we interviewed some key people. And I asked her, I said, "Why did you pick me?" She said, "You just have it. You should be really on a podcast talking and sharing your wisdom, your knowledge." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." Even though I didn't shy away from it, I was excited for the opportunity. And I had seen a few podcasts back then, and this may have been maybe 6 years ago when this happened. Yeah, probably 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago. But I remember the feeling of that podcast and asking questions, responding, that back and forth banter. It was really awesome. And the producer of that podcast gave me great feedback, praise, and also said, "Hey, you're a natural." I'm like, maybe I am. So here we are, fast forward 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and I am doing my own podcast. And it's based on the book that I've written called Father Notes, Being a Better Father on Purpose. And during that time, people have mentioned to me, "Do you have a podcast for it?" I'm like, at that time, I hadn't even thought about it. I'm like, "But I will write that down because I live with intent in the present." But you also have to be precautious. It took me a while to actually make it come to life. I had already planned on it maybe 2 years ago. Then I attended some workshops, went to YouTube University, did some research, and a young lady named Ina Esco, who is a prolific, prolific podcaster here in the Memphis area. She really, co-signed. She said, "Hey, if you feel like you can do it, then that means you can do it." And after she interviewed me, she said, "Oh yeah, what you waiting on?" But even after that interview, it took me a year to develop it, to script it, to feel comfortable with it, and to reflect on some of the things in the past that I could speak on that really made the future happen. Because this is now the future. Indulge me for a minute. We see this as the present, but one day this will be the past. And at the same time, in the present, this is the future. I'm going to stop there. I'm I'm beginning to amaze myself. Right now is the past, the present, and the future. It's happening right now. Be precautious. Live with intent. Father Patten, episode 10. Episode 10. Hey, please share, like, and subscribe if you like this content. And I am planning much, much more. Be precautious. Live with intent. Father Patten, still living with intent. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Thanks for joining the Father Knowts podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel at 1W Patten Jr. That's Patten Jr. Follow our socials on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Father, make the choice to use your voice.